They create safe excuses to appear, not because they don't care, but because caring feels dangerous to them. And if you've ever watched an avoidant hover around your life without fully stepping in, you've seen it. That strange half presence, that quiet circling, that sudden activity that looks random but doesn't feel random in your body. It's the like on your story within minutes, the view that comes fast and often, the reappearance on your feed after weeks of silence, the casual reaction emoji that says nothing and yet says, I'm still here. And the reason it hits you so hard is because you've been living in a drought. You've been starving for clarity, so even a drop feels like rain. Even a tiny sign feels like a promise, and I need you to breathe here, because this is where people lose themselves. They start reading meaning into crumbs, they start building hope on hints, and they start doing the work the avoidant is too afraid to do. A safe excuse is the avoidant's way of touching the edge of intimacy without risking rejection. They want contact, but they don't want to say, I miss you. They want your warmth, but they don't want to admit they were wrong. They want to feel close, but they don't want the vulnerability of being seen as needy, so they pick the lowest risk doorway. They ask a question that doesn't matter, they send something funny, they bring up an old memory, they comment on something neutral. They choose a message that gives them a quick escape if you don't respond the way they hope. Because if you ignore it, they can tell themselves, I was just being friendly. And if you respond, they get the comfort of connection without having to carry the responsibility of it. And I know what you want to do. You want to grab that moment and turn it into a real conversation. You want to finally say everything you held back. You want to ask, what do you want from me? Why did you leave? Do you miss me? Are you coming back? But listen, when you respond to a safe excuse with full emotional access, you teach them something again. You teach them they can enter your world without maturity. They can touch your heart without accountability. They can keep you on the hook with the smallest effort. Not because you're weak, because you're loving, but love must not be used against you. Your kindness must not become the key they keep borrowing to open a door they refuse to walk through. So what do you do when you see the safe excuse? You don't panic. You don't chase. You don't punish either. You become calm, clear, and grounded. You answer like a person who respects themselves, not like a person who is begging to be chosen. You can be warm without being wide open. You can be polite without being available for confusion. You can respond in a way that quietly raises the standard, because the standard is the whole point. The difference between a healthy reconnection and another painful loop is whether you reward hints or you require clarity. Because the truth is, a safe excuse is not the relationship, it's the doorway. It's not commitment, it's curiosity. It's not growth, it's a test. And your heart deserves more than being tested. If they want you, they can be brave. If they want connection, they can show up with words that match their behavior. If they want to rebuild, they can do it with consistency, not with shadows. And if they can't, then that safe excuse was never about love, it was about soothing themselves, easing their loneliness, checking if they still have access to you. You are not here to be someone's comfort without commitment. You are here to be cherished, respected, and met. They test the door with low-risk contact. And if you've been paying attention, you know exactly what I mean. It's never the full conversation. It's never the honest admission. It's never the brave sentence that would actually heal something. It's the tiny tap on the glass, the meme with no context, the short hey, the reaction emoji, the casual how are you, the message that arrives like a feather but lands like a storm in your chest. And the reason it affects you so much is because your heart has been living in uncertainty. You've been holding your breath for a sign, so when that sign shows up, your mind starts sprinting. This is it, they miss me, they're coming back, I knew it. But listen to me, a tap on the door is not someone walking through it. A test is not a commitment. A breadcrumb is not a meal. And if you confuse the two, you will hand your power back to someone who still hasn't earned it. Low-risk contact is the avoidance way of checking one thing. Are you still there? Are you still open? Do I still have access? They want reassurance without responsibility. They want to feel your warmth without having to explain their distance. They want to see if you'll respond quickly, if you'll soften instantly, if you'll flood them with emotion and make it easy again. And it's not always evil. Sometimes it's pure fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being exposed, fear of being held accountable, fear of admitting they hurt you, fear of admitting they need you. So they choose the safest possible move, something that lets them retreat if it gets too real. If you respond coldly, they can say, "I was just saying hi." If you respond warmly, they get the comfort they wanted and they didn't have to risk anything. This is why the moment you receive that low-risk message is a crossroads for you, because your nervous system wants relief, it wants connection, it wants the story to end with them choosing you. So you'll feel tempted to overgive, to reply with paragraphs, to ask questions, to reopen the whole relationship in one message. But the strongest version of you does something different. The strongest version of you remembers the pattern. They remember the nights of silence. They remember the confusion. They remember how many times you were left holding the emotional weight alone. And they decide, gently, firmly, "I'm not going to reward minimal effort with full access to my heart." So you respond with steadiness, not drama. You respond with maturity, not desperation. You keep it simple, you keep it calm, you keep it self-respecting. You can acknowledge them without chasing them. You can be open without being exposed. You can say something like, "Good to hear from you. If you want to talk properly, I'm open." And notice what that does. It doesn't accuse them. It doesn't beg them. It doesn't push them. It simply invites them to step up. It moves the connection from hints to clarity. And then you watch what happens next, because their next move tells you everything. If they disappear when the conversation requires emotional honesty, then they didn't want you. They wanted access. If they stay, if they communicate, if they take responsibility, if they show real intention, then you have something to work with. And please understand this. You are not cruel for requiring more. You are not too much for wanting consistency. You are not difficult for wanting a real relationship, not a situationship made of tests. You are protecting your heart from being reopened and abandoned again. Because the most heartbreaking thing is not them reaching out. The most heartbreaking thing is you letting them in halfway and then losing yourself in the waiting again. So let them test the door, but don't throw it wide open for a tap. Make them knock like an adult. Make them speak like an adult. Because love that lasts is never built on low-risk messages. It's built on courage, clarity, and consistent effort. They pull close, then they pull back, and if you've ever been caught in that push and pull, you know how exhausting it is because it doesn't just confuse your mind, it hijacks your body. One day they feel warm, present, curious, almost soft, and your heart starts to relax, you start to believe, you start to think, maybe this time it's different. Then suddenly the next day they're distant, short, busy, silent, and you're left standing there with the same old question, what did I do? And I need you to understand you didn't do anything wrong by wanting love. The pattern isn't proof that you are unworthy. The pattern is proof that they are afraid of the very closeness they keep reaching for. When an avoidant pulls close, it's real. They feel it. They miss you. They crave the comfort of connection. They remember what you gave them, the safety, the warmth, the way you understood them. But the moment closeness starts to feel like expectation, like responsibility, like emotional exposure, their nervous system panics and they pull back. Not because you suddenly became less valuable, but because intimacy begins to feel like losing control. They start imagining conflict, demands, disappointment, pressure. And even if you haven't done any of that, the fear is already in them. So they retreat, they go cold, they distract themselves, they act like they don't care, because caring makes them feel vulnerable, and vulnerability feels dangerous. And this is why it can feel like they are begging you to reach out without ever saying the words. They pull close just enough to light the spark, then they pull back and wait for you to chase, because the chase makes them feel safe. The chase keeps the power on their side. The chase lets them receive love without fully risking their heart. If you pursue them when they pull away, it confirms something in their system. I can withdraw and they will come closer. And you might think you're saving the connection, but what you're actually doing is reinforcing the cycle that keeps you anxious and keeps them avoidant. So the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for the truth is to stop running after someone the moment they retreat. I know that sounds hard, because when they pull back, your instinct is to fix it, to ask what's wrong, to offer reassurance, to prove you're not going anywhere. But listen to me, the person who is truly meant to be with you will not require you to chase their emotional availability. The person who is truly building something with you will come forward with consistency, not with a pattern that keeps you on edge. Love is not supposed to feel like a trapdoor under your feet. Love is not supposed to feel like you're always one message away from losing them. This is where your strength becomes your healing. When they pull close, receive it calmly, enjoy it, but don't attach your entire sense of safety to it. When they pull back, don't collapse into panic, don't beg, don't lecture, don't chase, stay steady. Let their distance sit where it belongs, on them, not on your worth. You can be open without being needy. You can be caring without being consumed. You can say with peace, I like being close to you, but I don't do hot and cold. And then you let your actions match your words, because consistency is the language that breaks this cycle. And if they truly want you, they will notice the change. They will feel it. They will realize you're no longer reactive, no longer chasing, no longer trying to earn stability from someone unstable. That's when the fear hits them, because they can't keep you with confusion anymore. They have to either show up or lose access to you. And that fear is not your responsibility to soothe. It's their responsibility to grow through it. Because the relationship you deserve is one where closeness doesn't punish you, where connection doesn't come with withdrawal, where love is steady enough that you can breathe. So stop chasing the pullback. Stop proving you can endure. Choose the kind of love that doesn't make you beg for the basics. They bring up the past, they accidentally revisit shared places, songs, inside jokes, and on the surface it looks harmless, almost sweet, like nostalgia, like a soft little wave from the shore. But you and I both know it never feels that simple when it's coming from an avoidant. Because when they do this, it's rarely just about the memory, it's about permission. It's about testing whether the emotional bridge is still there without having to say, I miss you, without having to say, I regret what I did, without having to risk the vulnerability of admitting that losing you actually hurt. They are searching for a doorway back into your heart that doesn't require accountability. And if you don't recognize that, you'll hand them your tenderness while they keep their responsibility locked away. Think about how it shows up. They send a song you both loved, and they don't say why. They bring up a restaurant, a movie, a holiday, and act like it's casual. They drop an inside joke that only the two of you understand, and suddenly your chest tightens. Because you're not just hearing a joke. You're hearing a time when you felt safe, chosen, close. They mention something you once said, something you once dreamed about, something you once did together, and in your mind, it becomes a message. They still think about me. And maybe they do, but listen to me carefully. Thinking about you is not the same as being ready for you. Remembering you is not the same as respecting you. Missing you is not the same as choosing you consistently. For an avoidant, the past is a safe place. The past has no demands. The past doesn't require them to show up today. The past doesn't force them to face what they did, how they left, how they went cold, how they made you question yourself. The past allows them to feel closeness without the risk of present-day intimacy. That's why they go there. It's like they want to stand at the edge of the ocean and feel the breeze, but they don't want to step into the water. They want the comfort of what you were, without the courage of what you need now. And this is where you have to protect your heart, because nostalgia is powerful. It can make you romanticize what hurt you. It can make you forget the nights you cried. It can make you forget the confusion. It can make you forget the ways you were left holding the weight alone. So when they bring up the past, don't fall into the trap of doing the emotional work for them. Don't rush to reassure them. Don't rush to open the whole relationship again just because they mentioned a song. Don't take a memory as an apology. Don't take an inside joke as a plan. Instead, stay grounded. You can respond, but respond with reality. You can acknowledge the memory without giving them full access to your heart. You can say, yeah, I remember, and then let the moment breathe. Or you can gently bring it to the present. That was a good time. What made you think of it? Not as a chase, but as a filter. Because their answer will tell you if they're mature enough to be real or if they're simply seeking comfort. And if they truly are begging for you to reach out, let them be brave enough to say it. Let them move beyond hints. Let them move beyond nostalgia. Let them move beyond indirect emotional tapping. Because the love you deserve is not a scavenger hunt. You deserve clarity. You deserve someone who can say, I miss you, I've been thinking about us, I want to talk, and then show up with consistent effort. Not someone who throws a memory into your lap and waits for you to do the rest. So keep your dignity close. Let the past be the past, unless the present comes with truth. If they want you back, let them come back with accountability, with maturity, with real intention, not with songs, places, and inside jokes that warm your heart for a moment, then leave you in the same silence again. Because your heart is not a museum they can visit when they feel lonely. Your heart is a home, and only someone willing to build with you deserves the key. Your power is not in decoding every sign. Your power is in responding only to mature effort and real consistency. And I know that sounds simple, but for you, it's been one of the hardest lessons, because when you love someone, you naturally want to understand them. You want to read between the lines, you want to search for meaning in their silence, hope in their breadcrumbs, intention in their little gestures. And if you're honest, you've probably become excellent at it. You can tell when they're hovering, when they're watching, when they're thinking about you, when they're testing the door. But listen to me, being able to decode them is not the same as being loved well by them. In fact, sometimes your ability to decode them is exactly what keeps you stuck, because you turn their confusion into a puzzle, and you start believing that if you solve it, you'll finally earn the relationship you deserve. But here is the truth that sets you free. You do not need to be a translator for someone who refuses to speak clearly. You do not need to be a detective in your own love life. You do not need to burn your nervous system trying to figure out whether a like means I miss you, whether a view means I regret it, whether a meme means I want you back. Because even if all those things are true, even if they miss you deeply, even if they regret it privately, even if they want you again in their heart, it still means nothing if they cannot show up with consistency. Love that stays trapped inside someone's fear is still love that leaves you lonely. Love that only appears in hints is still love that keeps you guessing. Love that cannot become action is still love that will break you slowly. So the most powerful thing you can do is change the rules you live by. The old rule was, if I can understand them, I can fix this. The new rule is, if they want me, they can meet me with clarity. The old rule was, a sign means progress. The new rule is, consistency means progress. The old rule was, any contact is hope. The new rule is, only mature effort deserves my energy. And I know that feels like letting go of the fantasy, because the fantasy is comforting. The fantasy says, they're scared, but they love me. They just need time. But time without change is not healing, it's delay. It's you waiting while your life passes. It's you holding your breath for someone who keeps choosing comfort over courage. And you have to understand, when you stop decoding, you stop feeding the cycle. When you stop reacting to hints, you stop rewarding immaturity. When you stop chasing signs, you force reality to reveal itself. Because an avoidant who truly wants to rebuild will not only drop clues, they will take action, they will show up, they will speak plainly, they will be willing to have an uncomfortable conversation, they will be willing to be accountable, they will be willing to be consistent even when it's not convenient. And if they cannot do that, then no matter how many signs you decode, you're still in a relationship with someone's fear, not with their maturity. So you become the standard. You become the filter. You become the calm, steady person who does not get pulled by every little wave. If they message you with breadcrumbs, you don't bite. If they send nostalgia without accountability, you don't reopen your heart. If they appear and disappear, you don't chase. You can be kind, but you stay clear. You can be warm, but you stay boundaried. You can say, I'm open to a real conversation, and then you let their response show you who they are. Because your peace matters more than your curiosity. Your dignity matters more than your hope. Your future matters more than your fantasy. And I want you to feel this deeply. Choosing mature effort is not you becoming cold, it's you becoming safe for yourself. It's you protecting the part of you that keeps loving even after it's been hurt. It's you finally saying, I won't keep paying for love with anxiety. It's you finally understanding that the right connection won't require you to decode it. It will require you to show up and be met. So let signs be signs, and let effort be the decision maker. Because the moment you start responding only to consistency, You stop being someone people can access with minimum effort, and you become someone who is met with respect or not met at all.